Hi, this is Craig Lane with our large intestine beginning of week 2 PowerPoint. We've done our before the cleanse started. We did our first week, and now we're beginning our second week, and this is the preparatory for that. So if you look at our first slide for today, for those of you doing this long distance, or if you're just doing this on your own, slide 1 is just a reminder of every single cleanse about how much the colon affects the entire body and how it occupies so much of the belly. And inflammation in the colon is going to affect a lot of other organs in the body. And this is actually take 2 of the same talk. It didn't upload earlier, so I'm trying to go back through and work with the material I had. So if you just make note that every nerve in the body, every part of the body, is affected by the nerves from the colon. So if we have a wrist problem, it might be from a reflex coming from the colon. And that part of the colon might be damaged or inflamed in some way. I had a client that says she has allergies, and so the allergy center is just above the appendix on the left side of the photograph, which is actually the right side of the body, just above the hip. And that's where that center is. And so it's worthy of note that the seat of Vata in Ayurveda is the colon. And what we discovered through Bernard Jensen is that he discovered in the mid to late 20th century that the enteric nervous system has various nerve centers that reflex to various parts of the body through every part of the colon. So like the hand center is going to be a different part of the colon than the allergy center, and the eye center and the brain center. They're all going to reflex in various centers from the colon. And then modern science is now proving that the seat of the enteric nervous system is in the intestines. And so there's maybe, possibly, I can't remember the data myself, that there are more nerves in the intestines than in our own brain. So there you have it, slide 1. Again, a little bit of data. Slide 2, just a little check-in. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this for those of you just doing this long distance. It's accountability, really. And in my men's work, we have our weekly men's meeting, and we have our goals for the week and our stretches, as we call it. And then we do a support accountability. Did you do what you say you're going to do? And if you did, celebrate. And if you didn't, why didn't you? And you work backwards through what we call the funnel. What were the other choices we made? How did those choices affect you and others? What was the feelings around that? What are some of the facts as to why? Logistics. And another thing that you might consider is, what is the shadow driving the choice to not do what you said you were going to do? And if you're paying money for a cleanse, believe me, there's going to be shadow behavior arising, because every light has its shadow. So the first week there were some things, and that's what this slide 2 is about. And just make note and get support if you didn't, and be honest with yourself, because we can only lie to ourselves ultimately. And even then we can't lie to the awareness that knows that we're sort of beating around the bush. So make note. Did you do what you said you wanted to do in week 1? Are you holding your intention and your goal firm? Slide 3 is about stress. And this form of stress in slides 3, 4, 5, and 6 are about what we call the toxic stress cycle. And this isn't about necessarily stress of like, I'm stressing out, I'm angry, I'm frustrated. It's about stress in terms of the body's internal stress from toxins and poisons that build up. And the start of it on slide 5, so we're going to move around from slides 3 to 6 here. The start of it is always the digestive system. So you note, some people have spine problems, some people have spleen and heart problems, some people have muscle problems. But note, the beginning of all of them is the digestive system and the colon. If we're producing a lot of waste when we're digesting from poor food choices or poor digestion, then we're not going to be getting energy out of our food, but producing waste. And if we're producing waste, we need to get it detoxified and out of our body. And you'll note that's the liver, gallbladder, kidney, bladder, lung job. And if those 3 aren't working, or if we're not having enough bowel movements, then you see the lung problems, circulation problems, blood problems, lymph problems, spleen problems, heart problems, and on down the line. So this cycle is a circular loop of sorts, and we're going to spend a lot more time on it next week. This week, I'm just making you aware that this is why we cleanse, because to break this cycle, because if we go through a full cycle where the waste builds up cumulative in this sort of conceptual model, then eventually the brain, the nerves, and the endocrine system, which is the major communication hub of the body that tells sort of the thermostat that tells the rest of the body how to do everything in the proper timing and the proper sequence, goes out of loop. And then so when those go out of whack, then it affects back to digestion and the whole cycle starts over again. And the only way to break it typically is to work with the digestive system and get digestion detoxified, enemas, cleansing, herbs, impeccable diet, and sometimes fasting is a good way to do this, but that's more of an advanced step for those of you that want to try that. You definitely need to do it supervised a few times before you even attempt it by yourself, especially even a one-day fast. So that's basically what slides 3 to 6 are about. You can read slide 3, slide 4, slide 5, slide 6 and get a little bit of ideas, but you see that on slide 6 we've talked about a little bit of the broad overview, how it begins, how it can be fixed. Slide 7 is basically about knowing when to fight and when to run. If you have any questions here and you're on distance, email the groups of people you're in, get support, and note, the thing that if we can have the best tools in the world, note about 7 or 8 lines down. Remember the prayer to remember your tools, to have awareness, to have consciousness. Because if we have a toolbox and we don't use those tools, in other words, our self-care tools, our awareness tools, our diet tools, making proper choices in what we eat tools, then our tools are worthless if we don't use them. So ask awareness, the divine, God, whatever you want to call what you believe or don't believe, just ask for support to remember more. And you would be shocked at how effective that is. It's a root level prayer, I call it. Slide 8 is your week 3 shopping list. So next week, we're on Sunday of this week. Just be prepared and get your stuff ahead of time. That's what this is about. And notice the theme for next week, week 3. Repair old tissue, bring in new microbes, improve communication between systems. Your week 2 shopping list is provided last week, so note that from the week 1. And so this week's theme is we definitely wanted to kick out the invaders, kick out the bad tenants on week 1. And then week 2, we were really looking at kind of getting the apartment cleaned up in a sense. And that's an important thing. You realize, wow, I got to get my apartment cleaned up because there's some issues in here. And, we want to make sure that we're all cleaned up, in a sense. So, week 1 was accelerated detoxification, loosen stuck matter and all that. And then this week is a binding week, week 2. And that's so as far as making room for the new tenants, we want to clean up the mess the old tenants made. So this is a chelation theme. And if you note, like onions, carrots, beets, cilantro, chlorella, miso, garlic, apples and pears. I can't emphasize the apple and pear enough. Eat tons of apples and pears till they're coming out your ears. They're great soluble fiber. Chia seeds too, eggplant too. Those are your special foods. Use them and give us a report next week. If you haven't bought your foods yet, then it's a little bit late. That's why these shopping lists come out. And if you're a little bit behind, then fantastic. Or you're doing this online, fantastic. Then you're ready to go for this week. Just stay supported. All right, that's slide 8. Slide 9. Next week, we're going to look deeper in the toxic stress cycle. We're going to go into talking about thrive foods, that foods help us thrive versus tolerance foods. What are your goals for each week? What are your goals this week? What are your goals next week? And then reviewing why one isn't meeting their goals and why they might. And finally, slide 10. This is a really nice piece here. Don't let people pull you into their storm. Pull them into your peace. Pull others into the peace vibration, the seat you hold in yourself, your own seat of power. Don't let yourself get sucked down into other people's drama as best we can, because the matrix that we're all finding ourselves in is getting more and more destructive. And also at the same time, it's a bit tempting and seductive. So keep an eye on that and get supported, be supported, and use your container. This is a great container for those of you that are needing more support. Then use the group and email me in private. And I can't say enough about congratulations, thank yous to those of you cleansing. You are changing the world in ways you may not even realize. Hope you all have a great great cleanse, and we will talk to you very soon.